Welcome, guys. A very exciting day today. We're showcasing Haven Park, where you play as Flint, a young bird with an overripe melon of a head, who's doing his best to keep his grandma's park up and running and make it a place for incoming campers to enjoy. When you play, you learn the campers' wishes and build whatever their hearts desire to attract even more quirky characters and look forward to whimsical conversations and quests within the park. The game is currently available on Steam and itch.io on PC and on Nintendo Switch, which has really become a great home for indie games lately. Links to purchase are down below in the description on YouTube and Facebook, or you can type !Haven Park in the chat for all the links. And I'm very excited to be joined by the developer, Fabien Weibel. He is a solo team and first-time game developer of Haven Park. He made everything from the character art and animations to the fantastic world and music. We'll talk more about his background and first venture into game dev in a minute. So, thank you to everyone who's already in the chat. I've seen David Sneck said he found the channel because of Haven Park. Kovac, I'm probably butchering that name, but welcome as well. And Flower and Sausage. So thank you guys so much for being here. We will have time at the end for questions from the audience, so I hope you guys have some questions for Fabien. And I'm going to switch to the gameplay and leave this running in the background. Those of you who haven't played it or haven't seen a review or anything like that can get an idea of the game. So yeah, let's give Fabien a hearty welcome and let's dive into it. So Fabien, before we talk about Haven Park, I do want to get to know you a little bit better. So
Sure.
We'll start with an easy question. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
No.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm sorry. It's not for me.
It's not for everyone. What's your favorite pizza topping, I guess?
I think I like chorizo or bacon, but no, yeah, ananas is not, but pineapple is not for me, sorry.
What is you said chorizo?
Chorizo, yeah.
What is that?
Oh, you don't know? It's like a sausage, very spicy, Italian.
Okay. I've heard the name, but I can't. Yeah, I think I can picture what it is. I do love spicy things though.
Yeah, so it's very good one. But sorry to disappoint about the pineapple.
No worries. So maybe a little more focused on game development. How did you get into designing and developing video games? And did you have any previous experience in animations or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so first I would like to thank you because I didn't have the opportunity for this invitation for this stream. It's very nice, and I'm happy to be here. And yeah, so I started developing this game. It was my first game actually. I did a little bit of VR for my work because I work in an animation studio, and we switched to VR AR projects. But then I wanted to make my own project, and I decided to go for it, to start a new small project without too much ambition, and that's how Haven Park is born.
Wow, that's really cool. So you had some experience with animation previously. I mean, that's what your job is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also I did my studies in 3D animation, so that helps a lot for modeling, animation, shading even. And next to that, I also have a company that makes web development, so I know how to code, and that's the main thing you need to make technically to make a game. And then you need a little bit of ideas, of course, and artistic notions.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's so many pieces to it. There's the animations, the art, like you mentioned. To me, it's the ideas is like the biggest thing. I think there's a lot of people who can probably code or make cool characters, but like to have an overarching idea and be able to bring it to life. That's really cool. This so this is actually a question that I forgot to put in, and maybe it would be better later, but I'm thinking about it now. The music. Did I
Yep.
did I write that one down?
Uh,
I don't think I did. So I did want to ask you about that though, because you have a background in animation and coding, but you also made the music and sound effects for the game. What was that like?
so the sound effects, I didn't make them. I found them on a website. It's called SoundSnap. It's a cool website where you can subscribe and get unlimited sounds. But yeah, the music, I did it. I actually started doing music like 10 years ago, composing music. But I've always like played guitar and a little bit of piano. But yeah, I started really composing music. Yeah, something like 10 years ago, and then I stopped for a few years, and for this project I decided why not restarting that, and so I bought a few virtual instruments and started to try to make my music for havenpark.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The music was really enjoyable, just like the calm kind of casual
Thank you.
guitar and stuff like that. Um, yeah, did you have to watch like a bunch of tutorials on YouTube and stuff to learn how to kind of obviously you know how to play music and stuff like that, but did you have to was it
Yeah,
a whole
it was...
learning process in itself to like put it into a game?
Yeah, I think well, first I had to learn the software I started to use, because the one I used a few years ago was not available anymore on the Windows 10. So I had to change and learn the technical aspect of the software. But then I also had to learn a little bit about the new instruments I got and how they work. But otherwise, it's I don't know. It's try and make mistakes, try again, see what sounds work. I started with a kind of music that didn't work at all for havenpark. It was too rich and not in the mood. So I had to calm down, remove a lot of instruments, make it much more simpler, because it matched the visual style and the mood of the game. But yeah, it's trial and errors, I think, mainly.
Okay. Well, this next question is kind of a lead up to a further question, but I'll ask this one first. What defines an indie game in your mind? How would you define an indie game?
It's difficult to say, because it's nowadays it's a bit more broad. I would say as long as you can. Well, for me, my definition is if you can finance the game without needing an external input, or if you are not dependent on someone else from outside, then I would call this independent game. But I don't know if it's the right definition, honestly. I haven't really thought about that.
So how would Kickstarter or Indiegogo or things like that factor into your definition? I'm just curious. I do have a definition of my own that maybe we'll talk about, but
yeah, it's true. It's true. If you, I mean, maybe Kickstarter, the people can pledge, can bring some help financially, but can they really impact the general idea like an editor would do, like a producer could do, or a broadcaster in the animation film? I don't know. Maybe that might be a difference, but I'm curious to hear what is your definition.
I think the point that you made about Kickstarter is a good one. Like, they're receiving funding from outside, but it's not affecting the creative process. It's people who are, they're pledging to support the game, to play it later down the line. That's kind of the promise from the developers. But yeah, like you said, it's not affecting the outcome of the game. So here's my next question, and this one might be a little controversial. It is something that we talk a lot about in our Discord channel recently. but what are your thoughts on the current landscape of indie games? Perhaps you are the truest definition of an indie developer. It's just you. But we recently saw a game like Lost in Random just win the Best Indie Award at Gamescom 2021, and it's being built by a team of 48 and published by EA. And I was thinking about this the other day. If a team of 48 works on a game for 1 month full time, it would take you 4 years, potentially, if you knew all the skills to build the same game. There's such a difference in time factor there. So my final question is, do you think that the term indie game is being applied too broadly today?
Yeah, for this case, it might be a bit overusing the term, because maybe they're using it to give a certain image of their game, like to make it more accessible for a certain niche of people that likes indie games. But then it feels like, is it really independent? I don't know. I don't think it's the number of people that work that might be really an issue, but really that's EA is the publisher, because if I don't know, maybe they haven't I don't know their deal, but probably they wanted to have their opinion and inputs in the creative process. So in my opinion, that would remove the indie part of
right. And
development.
If I'm thinking of this right, the developer is sort of owned, or it's like a subsidiary of EA. It's well, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to like cast aspersions on them or anything like that. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because there is, I would assume, there's such a difference when it's just you. You have creative kind of direction from the art to the music to the world building, and then the further you kind of delineate that, obviously they have like kind of probably a top-down structure where there's like a game director, but there's so many other moving parts in that, and man, I don't know. I think a team that big maybe doesn't deserve the indie title, but again, I feel like in the indie game title today is more of a genre even, and less about, like you said, the team size. It's more about like, this is a more artistic game, which Lost in Random is. It doesn't look like a AAA game, even if the team size is much larger. Because a game that I really liked, Hellblade, was developed by a team of 22, which was like broken off of a team of 100, but it was a team of 22, and everyone I know says that is a AA game. So it's a complicated mess.
Yeah, I think too. Yeah, in my definition of the term, it seems like 50 people is a lot for to qualify a game or a team as indie, especially if they are backed by a big publisher or producer. I don't know. It's well. Again, I'm quite new to the world of game development, so I don't have a lot of opinions in a lot of things, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm probably just as new, if not newer than you are. I started seriously following indie games like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
And 1 year ago is when I started my channel, so that's when I was like, kind of forming my ideas about what makes an indie game, what are all these different genres that we're talking about. So
yeah.
So let's move on to talk more specifically about Haven Park, which is why a lot of us are here. And before we do, I again just want to take this opportunity to say to you how much I enjoyed the game and the experience that you built. Like, I've never had an opportunity to sit face to face like this with somebody and just share how much I love the game, from the calm atmosphere and the adorable world and the fun characters that you get to meet. Like, it just feels like wandering around in the woods and making friends. So thank you
Well,
making it.
thank you for this. It's really nice, and I had a lot of pleasure developing it. So I'm happy that people are happy to play it. It's just at the end of the game, the day, it's the goal, huh? To make people happy and relaxed to play this kind of games. So
Well, it was a success for me.
great.
So where did you come up with the idea and the story for the game, and how long had it been kind of floating around in your head, this idea of building Haven Park?
So I think it was around December 2019. January 2000. December 2019, something like that. I played a short arc, and I already had the idea to make my own game, but I didn't know what kind of game. But after I finished a short arc, I was really like, wow, one guy did that alone, and it's crazy. It's really it's simple, but it does the job so well, and it gives so many good feelings. And I didn't know a simple game like that could provoke that, and I think that really motivated me to start my own journey and to make a game that is in the same genre. So when the lockdown started a few months after, I decided that maybe it was a good time as there is no more commuting to do, and I had a little bit more time. Why not investing that time in a project like a new game? And so I started, and without having a precise image or picture in my mind, I just started developing a game and tweaked it along the way and made people test it and see what worked, what didn't work, and that's how I finally came up with this game.
So in all, like less than 3 years from the time you thought like I want to do this to when it was released in August, right?
Exactly. It was wait, already 3 years? No, 1 year and a half.
That's crazy.
Almost 2 years. Yeah, it's the time spent.
The time flies. Man, well that's really impressive.
Thank you so much. Actually, I worked on the game while having a part-time job, like at 80%. And on the Fridays, I took this day to work on my this side project. And 2 months, 1 month before the release, I switched to 60% employee and 40% independent to finish up everything and make it everything ready for the release.
Yeah.
So I had some time, but not too much. So I had to choose carefully how I would invest that time.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is or was the biggest difficulty in the development process?
I think it was the lack of feedback, because this kind of game specifically that requires you to discover the map, and well, obviously as I was doing it, there was no surprise for me, and I knew every path, every way. So I didn't know, is it too hard to find? Is it too big, the map size? Is it how people will find their way? I think that was the most difficult, to have this feedback. So I had to ask some friends and family to help me give me their opinion, and you can't do that too often with the same people, but because at the end they know the game as much as you do, and you can't have this fresh opinion from a people that discovers the game. So that was the most difficult, to always keep a fresh eye on the game, even though I know everything in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. That was actually something that I really enjoyed about the game, is that it wasn't like you have to go to this campsite first and you have to meet these people and then you can move on. There isn't really... There's maybe 1 or 2 points that are kind of progression gated, but you can just go wander on paths and find whatever's out there. I thought that was really cool. Was it a little nerve wracking for you to share the game like with your family and close friends for testing and ask them like for kind of like critical feedback?
Yeah, sometimes I actually there's something about my creative process is usually I don't like to show a work in progress projects. I don't like because I know that they are going to say things that I already know, and that makes me. But I had to do that obviously because I needed this fresh views and opinions on the game. So yeah, it wasn't easy, but yeah, it's so important for development. So at the yeah, you have to you have to make these steps if you want to progress in the correct direction.
Right. Is there an overall message that you hoped to communicate through Haven Park?
Yeah, I think it was the main goal of the game was just to give people a small moment to rest, to discover, to enjoy, and to relax. Just don't put your worries and troubles aside, and just take a moment in the game to think about something else and just enjoy. I didn't want a game stressing or fast paced. I just wanted something where people can get a fresh bowl of air and enjoy their time here.
Yeah, I thought it was really great that even though you have skills that you can unlock and there, you can see on the screen there's experience that you gain. Just kind of everything you do kind of gives you experience. But I never felt, like you said, I never felt rushed. It just kind of came as it came, and when I leveled up, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll get a new skill, and
Yeah, cool.
it never felt like I was just. Well, here you can see me running around on screen, just pew pew pewing everywhere. But it felt like a walk in the park, and it
It was
yeah.
really the goal to make a small experience like that. And yeah, as you were mentioning, the pew.
Yeah.
It was one of the most successful feature.
What was there an inspiration behind that, or you were just like, let's make him walk around and just kind of pew 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 everywhere?
Yeah, so I don't know how it came. I think it was just some fooling around, testing things, and I tried, and it was funny. That's all.
I love it.
I think people loved it.
Yeah. Within the world of Haven Park, there are so many options as far as where to explore, like we've talked about, who you can meet. What difficulties did you face in designing and developing a game that just allows the player to go wherever? Kind of giving them free roam, really, of the park.
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a very good question because that was also one of my biggest challenge. At the beginning, the game wasn't an island. It was just a valley, and the walls on the side where I needed to make them very high. So the character, because the character was flying at some point, but I removed that, and I needed to make the wall so high to prevent the character from going outside, that you finally end up with having a feeling of claustrophobia, where you feel like you're inside a cage.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely not what I wanted for this game. So I decided to turn it into an island with infinite water. And you have some invisible walls, obviously, but it's more comprehensible or acceptable for the player.
Yeah.
This way, but it was a bit difficult, and I also had tried to make some areas that you can't reach if you don't, for example, if you don't have the athletic skill. But I wanted to have more of these areas, so maybe that's something I'll improve in a future game to use more to make more use of your skills.
Yeah.
To reach new places.
Like you said, there's kind of the invisible wall in the water, but there's also things to explore out there. There's a couple islands that have kind of some surprises on there, and I think just thinking about that now, like having the tall walls kind of surrounding everything, it would have been hard to kind of incorporate really anything like that.
Yeah, it was. It didn't feel right, so I had to remake the whole border of the map and change a lot of things. But at the end, I'm really happy about that change.
So I want to talk about the exploration side of the game because I enjoy hiking and following trails in the woods, and I think the exploration aspect of Haven Park is it may be my favorite feature, and it's very well implemented. So
Cool.
on the map, there are like trail number markers that you discover, and you unlock new areas of the map by finding the different campsites. So what was your thought process when developing the exploration aspects of the game? I know we've kind of touched on it briefly.
I think well, I wanted obviously a game where you need to explore to find your way, and there is no specific path to follow. And also, I didn't want to because one of the hot topic was should I add the character on the map, like a real-time positioning on the map, or not? And a lot of people asked that, but also a lot of people said no, I don't think it's a good idea because that would we would lose something about the exploring side of the game. So for now, I didn't add the character, but I added the milestone for that to help with the positioning to find your way. But maybe, and I'm not sure, but maybe in a future version, I might add like a different mode of the game, like casual or something, where you can see where you are on the map. But I really want the game, like the default way to play the game, the encouraged game way to play the game is that you can't see yourself on the map. You need to find your way by finding the milestone, by finding some landmarks, trying to understand where you are just by reading a map, like you would in a real hike.
Yeah, I love that choice. I'll be honest. That's one of my I think favorite design choices. I think about the game is the absence of the character marker on the map, because when I was playing, honestly, when I opened up the map for the first time, I was like, where am I? Where is my marker? I've just become like so accustomed to seeing that. But the more I played it, the less I looked at the map. And I think if my character marker had been on the map, I might have just honestly kind of walked around with the map open, and I probably would have missed a lot of just the context, the greater context of the world that you built. And so I think the choice you made is a great one, because it made me, like you said, it made me kind of establish landmarks in my mind. If I couldn't find where I was on the map, it was just a couple steps in either direction, and I found a milestone or a landmark that I can easily establish. So I think that's really cool.
It's good. It's good to hear then, because yeah, it's really a debated topic. Some people really want that. Some like you prefer that it's the way it is now. But for now, I'm keeping that way. I'm keeping it that way.
Yeah. So we've also kind of talked about this next question too, but I have talked in previous interviews about the balance in game design between difficulty and accessibility. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but Haven Park requires very little skill. It has a very low level of entry, and it's therefore very accessible and enjoyable by pretty much anyone who can play video games. So what was your reasoning behind building a game with a low level of entry, and is it difficult to make a game like this continue to be engaging throughout the entire playtime?
Yeah, so I can't take it the wrong way, because it was really my vision for this game. It was to make it as accessible as possible. It's really not a game about skills or tactics, or I don't know, anything like that. It's really about chilling, enjoying, and discovering things like new places, new campsites. So yeah, I try to keep the number of buttons of controls as little as possible, and to make it well, first easy to port on different platform, and easier to play directly. So you don't need any tutorials, you don't need anything. You can just go and play.
I love it. So this next question is something that I don't usually discuss, because it's about you and your relationship with your publisher, which after a little bit of digging, I found out it's also Moon Eye Studios is the publisher, and it was also their first game that they've published. So a first-time developer with a first-time publisher. I guess kind of two questions. What was it like to work with a publisher? Because I've never heard, kind of from a developer what that's like. And how do you think it affected your end product and your launch?
Yep, good, very good question. So at the beginning of the development, my mind was really like, I want to make this game all by myself, from A to Z, only me. And there was no question about having a publisher or having anything, coming from outside, except for the feedbacks, obviously. But then I think 2 weeks before the initial release date, which was in April, I was contacted by Tobias from Moon Eye Studio, and he sent me a long email, like not just a quick email, like hey, I want to make a deal. He really sent an email with specific points, very specific points. That first he said, yeah, I love the game very much, and but then he sent a list of very very interesting points to improve, and I think that convinced me, because I saw that he was really already engaged in the game and proposing ideas that went in the good direction for the game, not trying to change the mood or the DNA of the game, but really things that could really improve and easily improve the game without too much change, and give a lot of added value. So I decided to give it a try, to have a talk with them, and at the end of the discussion, the different emails that we exchanged, well, I hesitated. I really thought about that. Do I want to have a publisher that will take some shares, that will maybe impose some ideas, or don't do anything in the game and I will just lose some parts? Or do I want to have someone that can bring great feedbacks, that can help me also financially, and can bring some contacts, press contacts, and seeing that they had a great success with Lost Ember, seeing that they were really nice human, and giving feedbacks while respecting my point of view and my ideas, I said, yeah, I think that's a good match, and I think I should say yes. I don't see why I wouldn't accept their deal, and they were also very open to my how do you say that, requirement, the thing I wanted to keep, like keep the control, artistic control, and creative process, everything.
I think that's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, just finishing that. The collaboration went really, really well. I'm still really happy with working with them, and they are just great. So yeah, if you have a game, and you should try to to send them your prototype, and yeah, see if they want to publish it.
I think that's really cool, and I'm really glad to hear that. I know. So full disclosure, I had asked Fabien if it was okay to talk about this relationship before we came on camera. So I knew that there was a good relationship there. But I think it's really cool that. So did they approach you kind of unprompted, like they had a prototype of your game? Okay.
They how did they? Wait, I can't remember. I think they had huh. I think they had the demo version or something.
Okay.
Because it was before the release and the game was almost finished, but it was missing a lot of features that are in the game now. Like for example, I know the campsite they were already there, but there like the skills there were no skill mechanics, and that was one of their ideas, and so they put a lot of ideas and great ideas that are now in the games.
Yeah, I think that's really cool that they kind of reached out to you, not only with like, hey, we really think the game is great, let's get together and kind of make a partnership, but they also brought new ideas to the table. That's really interesting to hear.
That convinced me. I think that really convinced me because they already had put a lot of thoughts and efforts before before having me do anything.
So. Yeah, that's a very personal approach.
Mm-hmm. Exactly,
that. Yeah. So we're getting close to wrapping up here. Before I get to my last question, we are actually going to switch to this window here. So if you guys have questions, pop them in the chat, and we will talk about them as they come in. But my last question, excuse me, we've already heard from you, or I've heard from you on Twitter, that you are already working on more content for Haven Park, which is awesome, including a whole new area. Can you give us any hints to what this DLC will look like? My guess is that it will be the mineshaft area. Just blink if that's correct.
So, I don't want to say anything. You might be right or you might be wrong, but I can say that it's going to be for Halloween. We're trying to make this happen for Halloween. So make your own conclusions, and
okay.
We'll see.
Well, I'm super looking forward to it. So will it? Again, maybe this isn't something you want to share, but Halloween is next month.
Yeah. So I have a lot of work. No, it's almost. I mean, I did the main part of this new area. I just need to add a few more quests and things to do to interact with, some dialogues, and then we'll have to make the localization, the sound design, and I need to make a music for this part. But I think I have like 75% done.
Wow!
So it should be good for this for Halloween.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. We've gotten a couple questions in the chat. Isabel asks, she would like to know how to deal with the pressure of developing a game by yourself. How do you deal with that? How would you suggest?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when you work by yourself, the only pressure you can have is you need to put very strict milestones and very clear deliverable. I don't know how to say that in English, but like specific versions of the game that you want for a specific date, and try to keep that as realistic as possible, and to respect that as much as possible, because otherwise you can just get lost and lose your time by just trying things and starting over and again. So I put myself under pressure, not too much pressure, but just to make sure that I would respect these milestones and I would deliver a game in the right, not like in 10 years, because that can't happen.
Yeah, I can imagine that as you're a creative person, the more that you're thinking about the game and like things you could implement, the list probably could go on and on and on. And like you said, kind of having I think you said deliverable dates, like having a date that you want to have an alpha by, and like a playable beta, a testable beta, or something like that. Those are very good points. Dave from SaveDex Gaming, also another great indie gaming channel, asks, how challenging was it to bring Haven Park to the Switch?
So, surprisingly, it wasn't too hard. The game is developed in Unity using the universal render pipeline, for those who are familiar with that. And it's already quite compatible with the Switch. The only thing we had to change was for the controller, because it works a little bit different on the Switch, and adapt a few things graphically to make it work smoothly. But other than that, oh yes, the dialogues, because I made my own dialogue system, and that was really, really slow to load. So I had to make an optimization for that. But other than that, it was quite smooth, honestly.
Okay. Chef Uwu asks the serious questions here. Are we both Star Wars fans? Are you a Star Wars fan? He said he saw R2-D2 in the background.
Yeah, it's there.
I also have a Darth Tater sitting on my shelf behind me. What's I'll dig a little bit deeper. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, the original, the only ones.
I grew up on the prequels, which not many people like, and I know people that like the originals do not like the prequels. But I'll say Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
Yeah, I think that one I love it too. There is a very good mood and atmospheric. I love it too.
Yeah,
but I think my heart is still still prefers the original.
That's what JP says in the chat too. He said he totally agrees with you. We do have a couple more questions if you have time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And thank you for asking.
Flower Angel Rave says, what do you like to do in your spare time? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, it was a video game. It was developing video games. I'm not so much of a video game player. I have my phases, but not that much actually. But I really like to try things in Unity, to make also 3D models. I like to make music, so already all of the things that I needed in the game. So that's why making game is still some kind of hobby for me. But maybe one day it will become my full-time job.
Yeah. So you're a very creative person. Like your hobbies are making characters, making animations. That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really like this creative process. Yeah.
Sosich asks another controversial question regarding kind of the recent refund controversy on Steam. How did you decide on your price to make it fun enough and still make people feel like they want to keep playing it? Because I'll say the Steam refund policy is 2 hours, right?
Yep.
So for me, I played it way more than 2 hours. Just the first day, I think I played like 3.5 hours. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so a few weeks after the launch, I started to have some reports about how the sales were doing, and there was a percentage that was increasing. It was the returns, and I didn't know why. I was trying because the feedbacks were really positive, and people seemed to like the game. So I didn't understand why people would return the game. It was like 5, then 6, then 7%. I think now it's 8%, and it was a bit like, is there something I'm missing? Like, is there a bug and people are not saying it and just asking for a refund? But then I read about this policy of 2-hour refund, and I understood it was clearly that people just try the game, they play for like an hour or something, and then they just ask for a refund. So it's a bit sad that people are doing that, obviously, but that's their right. So,
well, I think definitely for myself, and probably everyone in chat would agree that if you've played Haven Park, I don't know how you can stop playing after an hour.
Thank
I
you.
don't know how you can stop after 2 hours and then return it. Like I didn't finish the game on the first day, and I kept thinking about it over the next couple days as I was like thinking about writing my review too. I was like, how is this gonna end? And yeah, it's a touching story, but I hate that kind of the refund controversy is going on and that it's affected you. That is a bummer.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not that much, but I mean, at least I understand this percentage. I understand why it's happening. But they told me last September. Sorry, Moon Knight Studio. They told me it's normal. It's this kind of percentage that you can expect. So
Yeah, I actually saw on Twitter, I think today or yesterday, the developer of Death Trash talking about his return rate, and his game is in early access, but he said his is between like 5 to 10, which is pretty standard apparently.
Yeah. I was so surprised at the beginning, but then I heard it's common. So
Yeah, Sosich just said he played for hours and looked for that last piece of broken fence. So he said thank you for including the checklist.
cool. A lot of people asked for that, so I'm happy that you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Good Talk HQ did ask a question that we already talked about, so if you just kind of want to briefly address it, he asked, how long have you been creating games?
Yeah, so I was saying that this game was my first game experience, and I did a little bit of a VR project, which is a little bit of a different process, but not that much, obviously. And yeah, havenpark was really my first game. So I would say 2 years and one additional year for VR projects.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions we have. Okay, one more just came in.
Yep.
Another one from Flower Angel Rave. He says, have you got any plans for a future project? Probably more of a full game as opposed to the DLC that's coming soon. Or are you just seeing how things go for now?
Yeah. I have another. I mean, I really want to make another game, and I already started to try to test some ideas I had. Not make a prototype; it's not the right word, but just testing. Like playing in a sandbox, trying things, and see where it leads. So I'm already kind of started. I already kind of started working on the next one, but it's really just experiments at this stage.
Okay. Well,
maybe in a year or two you'll have something new.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I will definitely be following along. Anything that you make in the past. havenpark has really made an impression on me.
Thank you so much.
So, we are going to wrap it up here. Like I said, I'll continue bringing updates as the development continues. I'll definitely be sharing on Twitter and Discord when we get the DLC or the new content update for havenpark. So make sure you join us there. If you're not on Discord, or if you're not in our Discord, you can join that below on YouTube and Facebook. And Fabien, thank you again so much for joining me, for taking time out of your day. Any final thoughts?
Thank you too.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from you? And where can the viewers follow you for future developments?
Yeah, so you can follow me on the Twitter. You have the link under the thumbnail and under my video. And so thank you very much for giving me this chance for this interview. It's really nice to see that people like you are really passionate about this world of indie game development, and to see how people are really motivated and excited about what's happening in this area of gaming.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me to talk about havenpark and your journey, really, as a first-time developer. And thank you to everyone watching and everyone who chimed in with your own questions. I hope you have a good day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next one.